Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an end of summer makeup look, and I wanted to focus on the Natasha Denona Golden Palette, which I haven't talked about on my channel. I know I've been gone for the past couple of months, but I've been reaching for this palette pretty much exclusively for the past couple of months. It's just become my go-to summer palette, so I wanted to do an end of summer golden makeup look. I also have some newer products to test out and some older ones as well, so kind of a little bit of new and old. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, let's start off with complexion. I do have a new foundation to try. This is the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation. I picked up two shades. I did swatch them the other day, and I don't think either one is gonna match me on its own, so I'm just gonna have to mix them. This one is a medium buildable coverage, long-lasting foundation with 1% hydrating hibiscus complex. I'm a little worried about that. I feel like this might be a little too dewy for the summer, but maybe this is gonna be a good one for the fall and winter. So let's go ahead and find out. This first one is in the shade 24 Light Warm. This is a very warm toned, like light medium shade. And then I also got the shade 30 Medium Warm, and this one I really don't think is gonna match me. This one is definitely too deep for me. So here is the shade 30. Okay, I like the tone of that one, so I might end up mixing just a tiny bit of 30 into the lighter shade just to adjust the tone a little bit, because this one, as much as it looks like it's gonna match me, it almost looks like a hint too peachy, and this one looks more like a yellow toned medium shade. So yeah, let me do a little bit of mixing. And actually, I do have one product to try before the foundation. These are the new e.l.f. bronzing drops, and I got these in the shade Pure Gold. I don't know that I want to mix these into a moisturizer just because my skin is already very moisturized and well prepped for foundation. So I kind of want to just try these on their own. Like, is that not a good idea? Okay, that shade is really nice. This is the shade Pure Gold, and I really like the consistency. It feels very lightweight. I thought they were gonna feel a little greasy for some reason, but yeah, it feels very nice and lightweight, almost like a gel serum. So I'm gonna pick this up on a brush and sort of just bronze with it. They don't seem to be super pigmented, so this is gonna be nice as like an underpainting type of product. I don't know if you can even see that. Okay, so I do see a little bit of bronze. I'm just going in with a little bit more over here. So it does build up a little bit, but pretty sheer in general. So I quite like that. Very sheer, but it does give a nice glow and like a light bronze color to the skin. So I do like it so far. Okay, now let's go in with the actual foundation. So this is the shade that I came up with. I ended up doing mostly shade 24, what is it called? 24 Light Warm. And then I mixed in a drop of 30 Medium Warm. Let's start off over here with the brush. That pretty much disappeared into my skin. I don't know if it's because I got a pretty good match or if it's just how flawless the foundation is, but it doesn't seem to be emphasizing my texture or my pores. Okay, I do want to build it up a little more. That covered up the redness on my cheek, so I would say it is a medium coverage, and it looks pretty nice once I built it up with a second layer. I don't feel like it looks too heavy. Let's go ahead and try it with a sponge on this side, even though I do like how flawless it looks with a brush. What's interesting is even though it does feel like a thicker foundation, it seems to have a bit of a gel texture. Not getting a lot of coverage with a sponge, so I don't know that I like that. It doesn't spread super easily, but once I start blending it, it does seem to blend out quickly. It's definitely looking dewier on the side with the sponge, just more hydrated in general, whereas with a brush, it looks more like a natural finish. So I definitely prefer this side with a brush. I'm actually gonna tap over this side with a brush just to like even out the coverage and to tone down the dewiness, because I haven't been loving a super dewy skin look. I feel like it just makes me look greasy and it emphasizes my pores. So just tapping over it. Okay, that looks a lot better. So far so good with the foundation. I do think it looks very pretty on the skin. I like the finish and the coverage, especially with a brush, but I'm gonna have to see how it holds up. So I'm gonna try to wear it for at least 8 hours today. Hopefully I remember to do a quick check-in by the end of the night. If not, I will go ahead and leave a pinned comment down below, but let's go ahead and apply some concealer next. So this is the Haus Triclone Skin Tech Concealer, and I already had another shade of this, but I ended up picking up a slightly deeper shade. This one is in the shade 13. This has been working pretty well for me with my tan. It's still brightening, but it doesn't look crazy the way that the other shade does now. This is still a go-to concealer for me. I just love the coverage and it wears a really long time on me. And I'm gonna blend it in with the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A506 brush. This is such a good concealer brush because it keeps the coverage while blending it out. Okay, this looks a little bit too light for me now. I think I have even more of a tan than I did when I purchased this shade, so whoops. I have not been this tan in years because I haven't been outside this much in years. The only tricky part is a lot of my makeup doesn't match me right now, like a lot of my complexion products, but I'm just trying to make it work. Okay, that looks pretty good, even though this shade is super brightening on me. I'm not used to such a bright under eye look anymore. I used to really love it years ago, but I usually like more of like a skin tone concealer or something just like a little bit lighter. I went ahead and reapplied my Pokeball lip mask from ColourPop, and look at how cute that is. I did get it in the mail. I think I mentioned in the last video I did that this one didn't come with my order, but they did send it to me, and it smells really good. It does have a dessert smell to it, kind of like vanilla and caramel. Okay, let's go in with the Makeup by Mario Softsculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. I picked this up in the shade Light Medium, and I've been using it a ton. I do really enjoy it, although it is quite sheer. This does come with a doe foot applicator, which is the way that I use this product. I haven't used the pump ever, even though it does have one. I just don't really need a pump, so I just stick to the doe foot applicator, but I'm just gonna apply this as my bronzer. And I feel like I can be pretty generous with this shade, especially right now that I have a tan. So I'm just gonna blend that out with my e.l.f. brush. This is the Complexion Duo brush. It's really easy to blend. It's just a very effortless liquid bronzer. And I'm gonna apply some to the sides of my nose. Ooh, whoops. I did apply way too much of that. Oh my god. Luckily, it's not so pigmented that it's gonna ruin the look. At least I don't think so. I'm gonna take my sponge and just tap over it. It's very user-friendly, I would say. Especially, I think, for a quick everyday makeup look or something like a no makeup look. I think this would be a really good liquid bronzer for that because it's so sheer. But it does leave enough pigment behind. Time for some blush. And this one I have been loving. I did purchase this during, I think, one of the last Sephora VIB sales. This is the Milk Makeup Cooling Water Jelly Tint, and this shade in particular is my favorite. This one is in the shade Spritz, and it's a warm orangey color, almost coral actually, but I didn't think I was gonna love these. I thought they were just kind of like a viral fun makeup product, but I ended up loving this product. It's just a really long wearing blush stain, and the way that I like to apply it, I do like applying it directly onto my cheeks, but I have to work super quickly, so I do prefer applying it with a brush. I'm gonna take this on the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A507 brush, and this is an angled blush and bronzer brush. That is really hard to say, but I'm just gonna stipple the brush directly onto the product, trying to coat it evenly as much as I can. And you do have to work very quickly with these cooling water jelly tints because they dry really fast. So then I'm just applying it as I would any other blush. Because it's such a thin consistency, it ends up looking like it's one with the skin, if that makes sense. And you can build it up, although I like to keep it more like natural with this blush because I do like to layer other powder blushes over top of it usually. So this level of pigment is pretty good for me, although I could go in with a little bit more. So just stippling it on the brush again. Okay, yeah, that built up quickly, but it looks so pretty on the skin. It doesn't feel like there's anything on my skin either, and it wears a really long time because it is a stain. I do like the other one I have. This one is in the shade Splash, but this one I just don't use as much. It's more of like a cool toned berry shade, which I do like it, but I just don't use it as often as this one. So let's do the other cheek. I'm gonna take some of my Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder in the shade Pound Cake for underneath my eyes and pretty much the center of my face. The foundation doesn't feel completely set down. It does have a lightly like hydrating feel to it, but it doesn't feel sticky either. It does feel pretty comfortable, but I'm a little worried about the longevity of this foundation because it doesn't feel like it completely set down. But I'm just applying the powder to my under eyes. I do want this makeup to last the whole day. Okay, it is looking a little cakey around the sides of my nose. It's looking a little dry even before I set it with powder. So I don't love that. It just doesn't look as flawless as I would like it to, but not as bad as some other foundations I've tried. So I'm gonna give it a chance, even though I'm not super hopeful about it. For the rest of my face, I'm gonna set it with the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder. I thought I was gonna be done with this powder like months ago, and I'm still working through it. I just don't use a ton of powder, so the amount that I have left, I'm really trying to finish by the end of the year. If not, I might just have to get rid of it because it is really old. I want to say it's like over 5 years old. So just setting my entire face with that. I'm going to quickly do my brows off camera and then I'll be back to do the eyeshadow look with the Natasha Denona Golden Palette. Okay, eyebrows are done. I also went ahead and prepped my lids with the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer. So I'm going to dip into Panna and Flesh, which are the two lighter matte shades. So this one and this one over here. I can't really point to them at the same time, but Panna and Flesh. I'm just gonna dip back and forth between both of those. And I'm gonna use that as my crease shade. I especially love this eyeshadow formula over top of the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer. I don't know what it is, maybe because it has a little bit of coverage and it evens out my eyelids. I feel like it's just like the perfect canvas for these shadows and just eyeshadow in general. So same thing to the other eye. I'm gonna deepen it up a little bit with the shade Sandstone. And this is a mid-tone, almost mustardy shade. So I'm gonna take that on this BK Beauty N13 brush and focusing that on the outer corner before buffing it into the crease. This brush is so nice for applying eyeshadow. BK Beauty brushes in general, I have been absolutely loving. There's just something special about these brushes. And then taking one more deeper shade for the outer corner, I'm gonna take Teak, which is this middle shade right here, tapping it right on the outer corner. So I'm gonna take Alchemist, which is the one on this corner down here, and tapping that onto the lid. This is one of those neutral bronze shades that leans a little bit golden. This is one of my favorite shimmers in the palette, and I especially love applying these with my finger. I feel like you get the most impact like that. I'm also gonna layer the shade Nubia right over top of that. So I'm using this as like a topper. That is super pretty combined with the other shade. This one looks a little more champagne, but mixed with the other one, I just love the end result. I'm gonna line my upper lash line with the deepest shade in the palette. This one is called Log, and I'm using the BK Beauty Nikki LaRose N11 brush. This brush is really nice for lining the upper lash line. It's just so easy. I'm kind of like stamping it on instead of dragging it out and creating like a super thick line. It turns out a little softer like this. And then for the lower lash line, I'm going to keep it really simple and just dip back and forth between the two lighter shades that I put in the crease and just running that along my lower lash line. And then taking a little bit of sandstone as well. And then a little bit of the shade Teak, keeping it on the very outer edge. For the inner corners, I'm going to take the shade Aura. And this one looks like it would be a super bright white highlighter type of shade, but it does end up looking pretty much like a light gold. So I'm just going to pop that on the inner corners. I'm going to take Alchemist, which is the first shade that I went in on my lids. So applying it right to the inner portion of the lower lash line and then bringing it in about halfway. It's really subtle, but I just love the way that it ties in with the shades on the lid. So that is it for the eye look. This palette again has been a go-to for me. So I am really happy that I finally got to share sort of my go-to look with this. I do have a new-ish bronzer that I want to try. I have tried it before, but I'm just not convinced that I like this bronzer. I'm kind of in between with this. This is the NYX Buttermelt bronzer, and this is in the shade Deserve Butta. I just don't think I love this pinkier bronzer tone on me. It smells almost like the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which I do really like. I just don't have it in my collection at the moment. As far as the formula goes, I don't remember being wowed by it, but let's go ahead and give it another try. Maybe I'll end up liking it this time. And I'm gonna apply this with the Rephr 05 brush and starting on my forehead, just sort of tapping it on. I don't know that that's showing up all that much. There's just something kind of off about this undertone, and I can't quite explain it because it looks like it would be a really good bronzer by looking at the pan, but once I apply it to my skin, it just doesn't look right. Okay, yeah, it looks too pinky for my liking. Okay, not as bad as I remember. I didn't really like it the first time that I tried it. I don't hate it, but yeah, I don't think this bronzer is really for me. Maybe I'm just gonna have to try it a couple more times. I think I've only tried it like 3 times now. This might be the 3rd time. I'm not seeing like a ton of pigment, but I also don't want to build it up too much because I don't like the undertone. Yeah, not as bad as I remember, but I think I still don't love it, but I will keep trying it out. I also have one of the blushes, and this one I think I tried once, and I do remember liking it. This is the Buttermelt blush in the shade Had Butta, and this is a super vibrant orangey coral shade. Yeah, this is super bright. I'm just gonna apply a tiny bit because I do already have on that Milk Makeup Cooling Jelly tint. That is super bright, but I'm really liking the way it looks on my cheeks. It does look like the powder version of the Cooling Jelly Tint. It almost looks like the same shade, just like in powder form. So I do like the blush, but I am not loving the bronzer. Yeah, this is really nice. I have no complaints about this. I do have a new highlighter that I have used a couple of times and I do really like it. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Powder Highlighter in the shade Champagne Glow. And I do really like this one. I haven't been using powder highlighters as much as I used to, but I do like to apply some every once in a while. And this one has been nice so far. I do like that it starts off subtle. It doesn't look like a super blinding highlighter right off the bat. It is buildable though. Yeah, it's a really pretty highlighter. I don't have anything bad to say about it. As far as the 24-hour wear claim, I haven't tested that out, but I can imagine it does wear a really long time because it is a part of the Infallible line, which I am a fan of. I'm also applying it to the high points of my brow / forehead, a little bit down the bridge of my nose, and then on my Cupid's bow. I do have a new mascara to try. This one I picked up from Amazon. This is the Clio Kill Lash Super Proof Mascara, and I got the volume curling one, I think. Yeah, O2 volume curling. I've heard really good things about this mascara, especially from Julia Adams. I think this is one of her favorite, if not her favorite mascara at the moment. So I really wanted to try it, especially because she loves it. And I do like a lot of her recommendations. I really like the tube. This packaging is really pretty. But this is a waterproof volume curling mascara. So I'm excited to try this. Ooh, the wand is very thin. I don't know how this is gonna go. I usually like bigger mascara wands. So let's go ahead and see. That was really fast. My lashes already look curled and more volumized. I was not expecting much from this thin wand. I feel like it's grabbing onto every lash, so it's not clumping up my lashes in a weird way. My Rare Beauty mascara is expired now, so I was gonna pick up another one, but I remembered that I kept hearing about this mascara and how good it was, so I decided to just go for it. I almost don't feel the need to do one more coat, but I think I am gonna do it just to see if it's the kind of buildable mascara that I'm hoping it is. So let's do one more coat. I like that the formula isn't super wet. Yeah, that looks really good with the second coat so far. It did seem to dry down quickly, so I do find that it's like grabbing onto lashes as I'm trying to build up the second layer. Yeah, it's having a bit of a hard time going through my lashes on the second pass because it's kind of like clinging onto them since the mascara is almost dry. So I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing so far because it looks really pretty with the amount that I put. Wow. Yeah, I am very, very impressed. I don't think I've been this impressed with a mascara this quickly. So very promising. I'm gonna go ahead and do my bottom lashes now. I feel like this brush is perfect for my bottom lashes because it is so thin. Yeah, so far this mascara is a win, but I am gonna have to see how it wears. Hopefully it doesn't smudge or flake the way that most mascaras do for me. I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with the Milani Understatement Lip Liner in the shade Saucy Toffee. And I'm pretty much just filling in my lips with that and then just tapping over it to soften up the edges. Okay, I ended up applying the Haus Labs pH Hybrid Lip Glaze in the shade Praline over top of that lip liner. And I wanted something hydrating because my lips are very dry right now. And this is, to me, a hybrid between a lip gloss and a lip mask. It's super hydrating and comfortable, and it's just very nourishing on my lips. I usually have this in my purse, but I did bring it out for today's video. The foundation is sinking into my smile lines just a tad, but nothing crazy. It does look a little makeup-y, so yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. It could go either way. It could go great, or it could look terrible at the end of the night. So let's go ahead and find out. All right, so here is me wearing the foundation for 2 hours. This is in front of a window in my room. I wasn't able to film any clips of me actually talking to the camera, so I hope you guys don't mind this voiceover style, but it does look radiant at this point, which I'm not surprised. It does have more of a radiant finish, bordering on looking like a natural finish. So I think with the right primer, it would look more of like a natural finish rather than radiant and dewy. And this clip right here is me wearing it after about 9 to 10 hours. I probably should have kept up more with what time I filmed this clip, but I think this is like maybe 1 a.m. and it definitely looks shiny, shinier than what I would like. Surprisingly though, it does look a little bit better than I expected. It didn't break up terribly in any certain areas. And even though I look shiny, it didn't feel terribly uncomfortable, but it did feel a little makeup-y, if that makes sense. Like I could feel the foundation on my skin after a few hours. So I'm just gonna keep experimenting with it, see if any specific primers help it to look better by the end of the day. So overall, I do enjoy the look of it, but just a little bit too radiant for me, especially without a primer. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this end of summer golden makeup look. Let me know what kind of products you've been reaching for lately, especially with this heat. At least where I'm at in Georgia, it has been super hot and humid all summer long. So I would love to know, what are some of your favorite long wearing makeup products or just like beauty products in general? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.